send it to me? I didn't get it.
You got it.
Well, did it come to my, came to my Winnebago one?
County.
Yeah, I don't have Wi-Fi where I'm at, so and I don't have it on my phone. I have it on my laptop.
Okay, so send it to you right here.
Yes, please. It's amazing how you miss all of those creature comforts when you don't have them. Wi-Fi, running water.
That's kind of an important one.
Toilets.
That's another important one.
Humans used to live without running water, but we've got really used to it now. Yeah.
Much.
For sure.
No electricity.
Luckily, I'm not far from the farm, so I'm right over there.
You're gonna have to tell me what it is.
It's my full name, Susan Lori Smith.
Susan what?
Laurie Smith @gmail. You know, when you try to get Wi-Fi, internet, WCTA, which I love their services, but when they come out, they don't know if your electrician is gonna put it in or if they're gonna put it in. It's like, you guys just have to decide which of you guys are gonna do that and just install it.
Yeah, I would think they would.
I've done it both ways on our apartments.
Yeah, which way works better?
Yeah.
It kind of varies on everybody's timeline. I guess WCK didn't have much problem. They were doing a lot of infrastructure in the whole building too, so it worked out good for them to put all the infrastructure in. But on a future apartment, my dad's, I had the electrician. They just got it to the apartment, and then the electrician distributed it. And that worked okay too. So I don't know if there was much cost difference. You're paying professionals one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. So Bill, you got that email that was sent this morning?
I just read it.
Okay, me too. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah?
For real.
I'm good.
Chairs.
Does anybody want to know how I am?
Nope.
Nope.
We all know.
Don't ask the question you don't want the answer to, Billy.
What time, should I just come up to your office then?
Well, they're at the Plum City Economic Development.
Oh, okay, you wanna go
Where
there?
is that?
It's right across the street.
It is, okay.
So you walk into the school administration building?
Yeah.
Go all the way to the back, take a right, and then
And then it's back there.
far corner.
Okay. I see you guys have a really full schedule today, so I'm hoping you'll
See how it goes.
be able to get over there sooner rather than later. I gotta leave around noon, so I got
Please
one
enter your
o'clock.
participant or moderator code, followed by the pound key.
I would hope it wouldn't take more than an hour and a
It's
half.
kind of maybe 1 or 2 points that just have to be.
Please
Right,
say your name,
right,
followed by the
exactly,
pound
so.
key. You are the first participant in the conference.
Are we ready to go then, or not quite?
We're ready.
Okay. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the minutes of agenda.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the minutes and agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Discussion with possible action regarding COVID-19 policies. Julie, are you on? Well, we'll table that for,
Can we talk about, so we talked
Oh,
last week
yes.
a little bit,
Okay.
yeah. So, we talked a little bit last week about just updating our policy a little bit. So I have done that. The big thing was there was a section, the last section with respect to first responders only, there was a line about the county will follow guidance for these critical infrastructure employees provided by the Iowa Department of Public Health. Apparently, the Iowa Department of Public Health got rid of those recommendations, so Julie and the Sheriff's Office wanted that line taken out. I did that. Julie had mentioned, excuse me, whether we wanted to put any guidance in about vaccinated versus unvaccinated. So I looked at the policy that they must be following through, you know, obviously their policies are different. That was with respect though specifically to if you've had an exposure. Right now, our policy doesn't address just a plain exposure. You can come to work like normal, assuming you haven't tested positive, you don't have any symptoms, et cetera, et cetera. So the vaccinated versus unvaccinated was more of a, if you're vaccinated and you have an exposure, you can still come to work. If you're unvaccinated and have an exposure, there was a different procedure. I did not add that because, like I said, at this point, we haven't required people to stay home if they only have an exposure and don't have symptoms, positive tests, et cetera. So I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in doing. I can certainly put it in. I didn't at this time because I didn't want to go through that if you guys didn't want to do it, because we haven't been doing it for last year. The other thing, and this had been brought up to me, so we had, I think the reason we originally created this policy in January was to allow that 160 hours of paid COVID leave that we're not required to provide to employees, but you folks wanted to. Somebody had asked me whether, is that per calendar year, or is that total 160 hours until COVID's over, or not? It's quite the same concern. The way our policy reads right now, it's total. It's not like it starts fresh at the beginning of the calendar year. So whichever way you want to do that is fine. I just wanted to bring that up because if you wanted to make it calendar year, we should do that while we're changing this other section. So you have 160 hours for full-time employees, and then you have 80 hours for part-time employees. I don't know that it would affect too many people, but there are some that have used up quite a bit of their COVID leave, so, and it could potentially affect some employees.
well, without knowing much about how much they're using up, I guess, do we know if we're cutting it close for some?
And there are some,
I think there were,
feel like,
and I think maybe, this just has my track changes, you can see just the tiny little.
I think the
If that's easier
intention
to look at.
originally was for that 160 to be total hours.
I think so too, and the only reason I brought it up is because somebody had asked me, so I thought, well, let's clarify it. If we need to change it, we can. If it needs to stay the same, that's totally fine too. Again, we're not required to provide any paid hours at this point, so obviously the 160 is fairly generous, but that other change is, I think, the very last page, just taking out that one sentence.
Can we do the 160 hours or the 80 hours? Can we do that on a individual basis by
I wouldn't start doing that, no. I would want it to apply to all employees, yeah.
Okay.
Then that creates a lot of conflict.
The main
Okay.
reason we did this was for the public health, wasn't it?
For the 160,
Yeah.
No,
I
I
think
think
it was,
so.
you wanted, you didn't want, you
Yeah.
didn't want hardship for, your
right,
employees.
so,
Mm.
and obviously if somebody's running out of that 160 hours, hopefully they still have some sick time or vacation time, or they can take paid time or, unpaid time. But I just wanted to address that since somebody did bring that up to me recently.
Waldorf doesn't provide it.
Say that again.
Waldorf doesn't provide it because my wife was.
There are probably a lot of employers that don't,
Oh,
frankly, yeah.
Dawn had it, and she was out for 2 weeks. I made her stay away for 14 days or whatever.
Sure,
She didn't have any,
benefits.
she got lucky, some people donated their time.
Mhm.
I guess I'm okay with leaving it as total.
I am as well.
Okay.
No problem. I hate to see anybody get punished.
Right, I guess that's why I was asking if there's any, if there's specific hardship somewhere, is there,
You just run into problems when you start treating employees differently.
yeah,
Yeah, it just creates a lot of legal issues.
I'm sure.
That doesn't mean you couldn't readdress the entire policy if it comes to your attention that it's affecting
More
employees or something. I would just recommend that if you change the policy, that it be for all employees, not just a specific employee.
Yeah, we don't
Yep.
want to go down that road.
No, that's a
It's just
slippery
that nobody
slope,
wants
yeah.
any hardship for anyone, if it's warranted, but I totally get that.
Yeah. And then Julie, you maybe caught the tail end of it. I know last week you talked about the vaccinated versus unvaccinated section. That only, at least what I read from what you sent me, that only applies if you've had an exposure, whether you have to stay home or not. We don't currently require anybody to stay home if you've had a COVID exposure, so
Okay.
it wouldn't be relevant unless the board wanted to
Okay.
start requiring that. So just to catch up.
Okay, and then, 'cause we also do, for our office, we have to follow our, Medicare and all that thing, and our girls have to be tested from, like, if they're exposed and they're vaccinated, they have to be tested from day 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7.
So your policies through Medicare funding supersede anything in our policy manual?
For public health?
So
Yes,
there's no
because
sense
I
in putting it
yeah.
in.
Yeah, we wouldn't have to put it in our policy.
No, but I just didn't know if that needed to be in that because it was vaccinated and unvaccinated, because that was done before anybody got,
Yeah, since we don't
Vaccinated.
require anybody to stay home for just exposure unless they have symptoms, obviously, or.
right, and that's pretty much what that says anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, once I read that.
yeah.
Okay. Well, we wanna move on this then?
So it would really just be that taking that one line out then at this point, because I'll take out that, I'll fix the per calendar year, take that out, I just put it in as the question marks and resend to Carla.
And we've already extended for this month, right?
I
So-
think you did that
I think
last
at the
week,
end of
didn't
Yeah.
November, we extended.
We did.
So I
Yeah.
think we need to make a motion to,
you? Adopt the amended,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
or do we need to?
Approve the
Get rid of
policies
the
as
current
amended.
policy and adopt this one, or do we just need to?
I would just adopt the amended, proposed amended, and then I'll just send it out.
Okay.
It's just that one line
Yeah.
that we're changing.
So I'll make the motion to approve the amended,
Taking out that line.
That one line, yeah.
Okay.
and also extend the COVID
Well,
policies, or what are we
it's already
doing?
I'm sure you did that
extended.
last week, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. For 30 days or whatever it is
Yeah.
that you normally do.
We're good till the
Yeah.
end of the year.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'll second the motion. So on a motion from Smith and a second from Derby to approve the amended COVID policies. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. All right.
I'll make those changes and get
All right.
that to Carla and we
Thanks.
can send them.
Do you guys wanna run through the numbers? Do you have time? Not really?
I've heard them on, yeah, we're
Okay.
running behind right
Okay,
now.
no, I just wanna let you know, right now with the new variants, they're still testing in Iowa, and but their main concern still is the Delta.
Yeah.
And, our COVID clinics have been full.
They have.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay,
All right,
all right, thanks.
thank you.
Julie?
Molly, you wanna come on in? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see all of you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
So, hi. So, Molly Hendrick with RSVP of North Central Iowa. With me is Patty Hansen. She is our Dean of Continuing Education. But I just want to start by first saying thank you to the county for entering into a contract with us, working with the county attorney that went well to continue funding RSVP. That, you know, means so much to our program and really me personally that even with that hiccup of a new state requirement, you were still willing to provide funding to us. And I'll turn it over to Patty, and then I'll share a little more specifically about RSVP.
So it may seem funny that RSVP is part of continuing education, but continuing education is really meant to meet the needs of the communities that we serve at NIAC. And in an effort to create more awareness, we've created a kind of one-pager in your packet here that talks about, we've created 2 divisions in continuing education to try and create a little bit more awareness. And we have Business and Workforce Solutions, where we work with job seekers and businesses, but we also have Discover You, which is where RSVP fits in, and that's really our lifelong learning, our personal enrichment, and our volunteer services that we offer at NIAC. And Molly does a fantastic job with RSVP, and we've now added a volunteer center too, so that we can serve people that are under 55 that are looking for volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, so calling continuing ed home is great for RSVP. We like to have a department where we can bounce ideas off each other and collaborate, and with the new volunteer center, that's certainly coming true with collaborating between RSVP and the volunteer center, which right now mainly serves NIAC students. But just a little bit about RSVP specifically. Volunteers are back serving in schools. Teachers and administrators welcome them with open arms, very happy to have them back. In fact, the Pen Pal program in Forest City this year expanded to serve all of 4th grade. So the school reached out to us last year about piloting the program in one classroom, and we were able to do that. There's kind of a limit on the Pen Pal program. It can get too large because all of the letters come to us at NIAC. There's 6 letters a year, and that's kind of daunting to track all of that. But they have such a good experience, they want to expand it to all of 4th grade, and we were able to do that. So that's been a great addition to Forest City and really all of the county, because we have Pen Pal writers from Buffalo Center and Lake Mills, and they write to area students. We are experiencing some volunteer hesitancy this year, people that just maybe want to take another year off, or even considering, like, let me see what I feel like in January. So we've taken the approach that we're very flexible with volunteers. We want them to volunteer if they feel safe and comfortable. Asking the teachers as well to be flexible, like even if someone gets started and then says, I gotta take a break, everyone around me is sick and I'm just feeling a little nervous, or whatever it may be. So kind of this year our key theme is flexibility and extra communication, so everyone's on the same page. With COVID, it really did shine a light on the importance of RSVP volunteers working with students, and we knew that, you know, as RSVP coordinators, and the teachers knew that, but missing them that last year really proved to teachers again that that extra attention from a caring adult is so important in students' lives. And teachers have shared with us that they really are feeling the impacts of COVID on students and online learning and kind of isolated learning with, no visitors in the buildings last year. So, they are welcoming anyone back who's willing to, read with students again. And it just kind of proves that point that's sort of hard to prove on paper, that the emotional support is this positive side effect of the program, but oh so important. So, we're almost in every school again this fall, and things are going well. So, I just hope volunteers stay healthy. Any questions? I will tell you that we're requesting the same amount again this year from all counties. We thank you for your, you've been so supportive of us year after year, and I appreciate that. And that second page of your document is some data that's specific to Winnebago County. Any questions for me?
Thanks for all the work.
Absolutely.
It was good to have you here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have anything? Questions or anything?
Maybe not.
All right,
Thank
well, thank you.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Thanks so much.
All right. So, it's 9:15 or thereafter, Gary Ludwig's here to discuss the possible action project, DD 97 with your solar project, huh?
Right, you guys all got a map of it, and it shows you what it is. And what we're, I guess this is probably because of me, a number of years ago, the Catholic Church got flooded out there, you can remember that. And so the city come in and they put a box culvert in and stuff to eliminate the drainage, and they put a retaining wall in to divert the water. And now the school has purchased this property, to the west of that, about 17 acres, and we want to put in a solar project of about 1.3 meg, and then turn the rest over to the Voc Ag to put in test plots for the kids to have kind of an outdoor classroom. So what we're going to do, or asking to do, is to come along and to put a 10-inch tile, replace the tile that's in there, because if you've driven past it, you notice that all the willow trees have grown in there. So it is letting some water go, but it's not really, it's kind of a swamp. And then to add about another 1,900 feet of tile, including to the left up to Adam McCore's property. He wants to tie on to that. Now, Ron Holland owns the property to the right between there and the Catholic Church, and he has went in and put in an open ditch. He's opened that up and stuff. So, we had ISG look at doing this, and this is what they recommended, 10-inch to 8-inch to 6-inch tile. And we're going to put that into the existing, because we're in Drainage District 97. In talking with Scott, I guess Scott says we can do it. But we want to be a good neighbor. I mean, we don't want to force a problem down the road where somebody else gets more water than what this will take. I think once we kind of get it drained out, you know, the little water does sit there, we're just asking to do that. So, do you have any questions after you've looked at this? ISG did the study on it, and that was the recommendations that they gave to us to do it. And we'd like to start this spring, although we are going to take the trees down this fall now after the ground freezes. So we want to be a good neighbor. We want to keep you informed as to what we're doing, so that it doesn't come as a big shock if something does happen. But in looking at the drainage district from the river where it ends up at, all the way back to 350th Street, which is the Bancroft Forest City Road, it looks like after that, then it turns into a 6-inch tile. And that's what they gave us, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do we have to do? Can we do it? Whatever. I guess that is my question.
So, yeah, I think as drainage trustees, we really can't stop an improvement upstream, can we?
Well, if there's already gonna be water standing there, what's gonna happen if they improve that? What will happen to I would call it the lower end.
That's the best question, I think, and.
Yeah, and then that's for you guys to determine.
So, water standing up on the north side of the road?
North side of the road and that beat high over that.
Is
that
it still
riser.
standing there after we fixed it?
I haven't heard any
We just-
comments.
We think we just fixed it in the last couple of years,
Okay.
so we're hoping that's been resolved.
As I drove past there, we had a meeting out there. We've met with the Catholic Church and with Ron Holland and all that part of it. But as I drove past it, there was water standing beside that beehive or the riser there.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there needs to be more questions to ISG,
Mm-hmm.
personally, to get a better report. This really doesn't tell you a whole lot, I don't think.
As far as, what would the questions be, Chris?
Well, what are the adverse, your actions to the district?
Okay.
Well, if there's water standing
You know,
there.
cause their only job is to report what you need.
Right.
We need to know what the rest of it is. You know what I mean? They're only giving you to hear and giving you those recommendations, what you need to get to hear.
Okay.
The supervisors as trustees need to know, well, how is that going to affect the rest of the district? It's got a lot of water coming into it.
Uh-huh.
That's just my thought.
Well, we have to be proactive, not
Right,
react after
right.
you do something and.
Right.
If there's a tile there and there's water standing, then there must be an issue. So
And
that
then
needs
it's
to
one
be
of those,
repaired.
is it just because it's broken down? Is it too close to the surface? Obviously,
Well,
most of the
it's
county
evidently in a
needs to.
state of disrepair if it's supposed to be draining it.
Did you ever look and see if we've had repair down there?
I would think Lahar, that one time, would be the only time that we've had a bill in my 12 years here.
Okay.
But it's a pretty big district,
What they say, 120 some acres?
and if they need to upsize that, look at how expensive that would be for the landowners in it. And knowing the troubles that we've been through
Well,
already.
The downstream end of it is 6 inch?
Well, it starts at 12 at the
Starts at
river,
12.
and then goes to 10, and then it goes to 8 right before the
Usually
brook.
have to
I wish they would have given us where these stations are, so it shows back how far from the river back, it goes to 12 inch and then it goes to 10 inch. But as it gets closer, then it goes to 8, but then down here at 350th Street, it just says 6 inch.
Yeah. Yeah, on the south side of the road is 6 inch.
It is 6 inch, okay.
Yeah, I can see there would probably be increased pressure on that lower
Mhm.
end
Sure.
on the north side of the road, and possibly for the church too. I'm just not sure what
So, the existing private tile is what size? I don't recall.
That's out there,
That's out there right now.
I think it's 10 inch.
Okay.
The part that we're gonna replace, and we're gonna abandon that and move it after we get these trees cut down, I guess.
Mhm.
And the
you
water
said-
is running, I mean, whatever, yeah.
And you said that Ron did abandon some of that and.
That's all open ditch.
And it's open ditch.
That's all open ditch. He really widened that out to open it, so, yeah.
I guess my thought for you guys is that we just need to make sure that the district doesn't get adversely affected.
Has the church seen any of this then?
Yes, we met with those
Well,
and with Ron.
we can't stop anybody from
Yeah.
attaching private tile to ours anyway.
Yeah, according to code, we can't stop it.
So,
but-
I mean, the thing is to make sure the existing tile is working up to
So you
snuff.
need some exploratory out there, you need to get somebody in to see if it's.
We should make sure that if it's fine and still not handling it, then there's, we possibly have to look at an improvement or whatever to help drain the whole area. Otherwise, if it's in disrepair, and then we have to make a repair to it so it can handle the extra.
Right.
But just looking at, you know, they're adding A1 is a 10, A2 is an 8.
It'd be about 1,900 feet of
Yeah,
cut
but
tile.
I'm just looking at all that sizing and you're gonna shove it through a 6-inch tile.
Yeah,
That's
so much, yeah.
under a road. I'm guessing it's 8 under the road and 6 on the south side of the road.
That's what I, yes.
Yeah, it could be a expensive project to have to improve it.
And then the problem I see with that is these landowners didn't ask for this.
Yeah, but you can't stop, well, you can possibly stop, the improvement, but, they can't stop a repair. If it's in a state of disrepair, it's gotta be fixed. And we can't stop anybody from hooking a private tile to it in the first place, so, to me, we just gotta see how it's working. If it's not working, we need to get it into a not improvement, but repaired so it is working properly, and then hopefully the whole thing will handle it.
Well, we want you, I mean, that's why I've come here, I mean, 'cause we can see if, you know, what we're adding and where it's at, and there could be a problem. And like I say, you gotta be a good neighbor, we don't wanna flood somebody downstream or anything like that either, but.
So really, you just need to get a contractor out there at this point and see what's working and what's not working. If there's, are there tree roots in there, or are there?
I'm gonna guess there are at the river.
That's what I'm thinking too.
At the river?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's,
I mean, if
it crosses
Just
through
look
a
at
bunch
it,
of
it's going
trees.
through trees.
So, you know, maybe that's the place to start looking at it, and then.
It'd be nice if there was a bunch of intakes in there where it wouldn't do any digging, you could just go see if it's actually flowing or not.
Yeah.
And I guess another question was, how do they, I mean, these stations, are those like a mile post that they have marked? I mean, they say that 12-inch runs back so far to this station and that?
Well, the stations are, if you look at the original map, it's all
Okay.
engineered out, they're hanging over here.
Okay.
So it has stations on that map, and then, you know, basically what I've done online, you can start at the beginning of the district, and on our beacon, you can draw it out and tell you how many feet up the line you are,
Okay,
and you can create stations that way.
okay.
So,
Are stations a set amount of feet or?
One station's 100 feet. Yeah.
Okay, so there you
We can
go.
look at that map if you want, sometime.
Uh-huh,
I wasn't able to pull up that day you stopped in.
okay, okay,
For some reason, my
yeah,
electronic devices weren't working, but we have paper copies too.
okay.
yeah.
Well, and then at least it would tell you that when you get to station 6, it's 600 feet.
And Gary, I told you too, I think that your engineer could have done that for you too. I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I wish,
I've learned a lot, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
learning
yeah.
process, but we want everybody to know what we're gonna do,
yeah.
you know, so we don't cause any problem or whatever.
And when were you gonna do this, I'm sorry?
Well, we'd like to start it in the spring. They'll take the trees down now, we're gonna do that right away here. As soon as, like I say, the ground freezes, take the trees down and stuff, so, that part of it.
So I think this is, this is located in Bill's district,
Yeah,
the improvement of the private tile,
Well,
but it affects my district.
the north end of, yours is the outlet, so I really
Yeah.
don't care about that, so. As long as we keep my side happy.
Right, yeah.
So you're saying I'm the one that has to walk down by the wet part of the river and figure out what's wrong?
Yeah,
I think it looks like a road trip, maybe we all have to go check that out.
This is when that drone would be handy.
Or your ranger, or,
No, the drone would be better.
Are you doubting our ability to hover over the ground out there?
Right.
alright. Well, I think maybe we should look at investigating, maybe I'll talk to La Harve and find out if they did work on the north side of the road, and, maybe we should look into getting somebody to
See if they at least explore the fact that the whole thing was performing
the
properly.
river end of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
So we
right.
got a board meeting Monday night, Tuesday night, Monday night. So, okay.
But, you know, like we said, we're not thrilled that they're gonna put that much water through a 6-inch on the south side. That's the district tile. And
Okay.
it's probably 8-inch going under the road, isn't it, Scott?
Is it normally?
I didn't look.
Yeah, it shows 8 to the road and 6 on this side of the road, so I'm guessing it'd be, yeah.
Yeah, the section of tile
Both numbers are smaller than 10, so I think
Yeah.
it'll be,
that would definitely be the issue, would be that section.
That section right
6-inch there that maybe should be improved then. If it's gonna take water, it doesn't do you much good to put in,
Yeah,
more tile up on the top side if you've got the weak link in the chain.
right.
It might be something where you want to go for an improvement to put at least 8-inch.
Well, my opinion would be to put a 10-inch to the 10,
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna do a minimal improvement. Because we're already having issues in
You
that
mean,
lower
you
end
go
8.
all the way from the south side of the road to the 10-inch on the, wherever it is on the north
Right,
side of the
out
road,
the
so go
field.
under the road with 10-inch then.
And that's where the
Well, that
box
would be
culvert's
the-
at, right, Scott?
That would be the best fix.
I'm not very familiar with it, to be honest. But I think all these things are good ideas,
Mhm.
just something that the engineer should tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, needs to be,
Okay,
needs to be engineered.
okay, I will take that back to the board and,
Mm-hmm.
we'll go with that.
It's the critical path.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I would have
Thank
thought
you.
that the engineer would have looked at that 6-inch himself and decided that, you know, this isn't gonna be overwhelmed. I mean,
But
that's,
they're also looking at, well, maybe we can solve some engineering services on their side.
yeah.
Yes. The report's too brief. It's,
So who was
Yeah.
the engineer on that?
ISD.
Oh, that's right.
Which
That's
engineer, that's the company,
Ivan Dressler?
Justin?
his signature anyway.
Yeah, he was
the one they were working with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I just
was
can't,
looking at that.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, and if I know if I'm gonna dump a whole bunch into a 6-inch tile, it's probably already, and it's kind of, I think probably, you know, this is gonna be useless unless this is improved. But,
All right, well, I think, where are we at here? We got time.
Can we do my drainage, please? And then I don't have to come back,
Okay,
if that would work.
there's a lot of drainage.
Oh.
Oh, it's way at the end. Towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do your drainage. Auditor's office will discuss drainage matters.
I don't have anything. But I didn't want to have to come back to tell you that.
yeah.
Leave it to Chris.
Right? So, I mean,
It all makes
Isn't
sense.
number 8 also your, a little bit?
Oh, I don't know anything about
I guess
that.
it's not a drainage district.
yeah, I don't know anything about that. Is that why you're here? Okay.
That's a right-of-way issue.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
still
more of a
working.
right of way. So
All right.
guess what?
So I'm good?
All right.
I'm
Been
good.
nice knowing
Can you stay
you.
here for 1 second?
I can.
Okay.
There we go.
See, you tried to get out.
I know, and it's fine, but I
I'm
just
trying
didn't want to have to
I'm
come
trying to
back.
juggle this.
I know, I see what you're doing.
Take care of the Lyndon one, we've got the 945, it's a direct cutoff.
And it's,
Well, I don't know how.
The 945 isn't.
Huh?
Yeah, that one you have to.
Well,
Maybe we can do.
if we can get Scott back in here.
Scott?
Yep.
So we're gonna take on number 8, workshop ideas for Lyndon Lane drainage in Rice Lake neighborhood. You wanna update us on this?
If I give you a map here, which I've sent out to you, but I've approved since then.
Okay, good.
Maybe one of you two, since you're here.
Thank you.
No, no, no. For you. All right. So, out at Rice Lake, we have some home development going on there with Fall. Is planning to do an addition, and his property is on the receiving end of a culvert out there, and if he were to disregard the culvert and build this addition and this driveway, it would bury the outlet of the culvert. The subdivision was never laid out with any stormwater easements, so it gets a little bit tricky, trying to figure out who's responsible for what in taking care of the drainage out there. He's not covering up any easements or doing anything like that. So whose responsibility is it to make sure that drainage is maintained? I think it's probably a combination of the county and the landowners out there working together in good faith to make something work well. So we have intervened in a way and come up with a couple ideas that we think will be acceptable. One is for Paul to connect to the culvert with a tile and run it through his property, and which was the original idea. And the other is to build a more official storm sewer out there to catch the drainage in this neighborhood, I guess. And so 2 culverts would be replaced by storm sewer and one crossing across the road. And I've shown that on the map in green, the new stuff, and a couple of dotted gray lines show what would be removed. There are pros and cons to each option. Running the tile through Paul's property, pros would be, just less disruption for neighbors. Nobody else would really even care too much about it because it would kind of take care of itself, at least for now. But the cons are kind of long-term. We'd have public water going through a private tile system, which is not good policy because then maintenance in the future becomes possibly problematic, especially if the property transfers later on or whatever. Is it his or the county's, and who's responsible for getting a plug out of there, whether it sticks and leaves and stuff like that, which definitely could be in there since the upper end is just an open culvert. The storm sewer system that we've kind of sketched up, pros would be it deepens the sewer for all the footing drains that are out there, turns 2 crossings into 1, it keeps the sewer on public easement, and hopefully some participation from Paul and in the cost of that, since it would offset what he'd have to do on his own property. Cons, we have one landowner out there, Mr. Schachterly, who's very opposed to it. It would go across the frontage of his property and would need to take a tree down that is in the right of way, but it's a mature tree. And then the county would just, of course, have to make the financial investment of installing the sewer. We think it to be about $13,000 plus equipment and labor. I can't probably overstate how opposed to the project Dennis is. I think that's the...
We got an email this morning.
Okay. He'd emailed a couple times about his geothermal and just overall just how he didn't really appreciate this project, and the way it sounded to me like he didn't think the development of somebody's lot should be his problem, and I can appreciate that.
Drainage is everybody's problem.
Yeah, I don't think it's Paul's fault. I think this is something where the county should intervene, or at least should offer the option of intervening here in order to make it a more perfect system in the future that is maintainable, and so that's kind of where we're at.
Are there any cons to, I mean, it won't hurt any of Dennis's geothermal or his property that way or anything as far as we know?
We sure don't think so.
His geothermal shouldn't be in the right of way anyway.
It shouldn't. He talked a little bit about how there's 30 feet platted out there for the road right away, and then in, I think it was the 70s, there's an extra 5 feet deeded to the county on both sides of the road, so there's a total of 40 feet. And some of the surveys out there don't show that. There's been some poor survey work done out there, so some landowners may not know that, and So that's kind of unfortunate for when they're working on geothermal or other things buried.
So would any work or trenching that would go through Dennis's and Van Veldhuizen's and Van Gorkum's and Stephen Bonnie's would be completely contained within the easement,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, assuming the road's in the middle of the right of way, we would have about 11 feet between the edge of the road and the right of way line, and that's plenty of room to put in a tile that's 3 feet deep, if we pile the dirt in the road.
Sure.
So I would think we could be pretty neat about this without, you know, doing a bunch of destruction to people's yards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I understand if they're mowed yards and they'd like it to be neat, so I
Yeah.
think we could get it shaped up and grown back in no time.
I know that there is, not with this project, but with another project out there, that a lot of the homeowners were not real keen on having the gravel edge on the edge. They liked the sod going up to the, you know, so is that something that we still would be able to do for these people? I mean,
I don't think so.
I mean, I haven't taken a poll of this group of people, I'm just saying what has
Yeah.
happened out there before.
I think that there is sod up to the edge of the road almost everywhere out there now. I mean, eventually it always gets that way, it grows up through the rock and stuff like that.
And I think that a lot of the people out there just like it that way, because
Sure.
then they don't have to deal with gravel in there after you plow snow and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a little bit of a trick to get it established, make sure people don't drive in it, make sure it doesn't wash away with the rain and stuff like that, but
Yeah,
I don't see any reason why it couldn't be.
sure. People are pretty attentive to their lawns, you
Yeah,
know, out there.
yeah,
so.
definitely out there.
Okay.
I guess just looking, when I had a couple lots out there, and I looked through the deeds and the abstract, and I could see, over the years, there was some interesting things that went on out there. And I can see when you're talking about the lack of recording and transfer, I can see that happens, but it'd be nice to have that all that taken care of somehow.
Yeah, I have a file with mostly all the easements, and I'm planning to work with a surveyor to clean up some of the problems out there with how we're showing right away. I can't seem to, we'll be working on it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Haven't made any progress on it yet, but that's my plan, to make sure what's shown in Beacon as platted is accurate with easements that are on file.
Okay.
'Cause there's some things out there that have just gone on too long, I think, without being corrected, and whose job is it, I don't know, but you know, ultimately, whole sector of the county needs to be maintaining accurate information.
The one point out there that I've noticed is the shallow culverts and the problems it creates.
It's really hard
Yeah.
on the roads.
Yeah. There's, what is there, half a dozen out there, and they're all causing problems with the road, and
Yeah.
hopefully there's a solution for most of those sometime.
They all got a little dip underneath them, is that it?
Only a little rise, because there's probably,
What's going
you know,
on?
3-4 inches of the dirt between the bottom of the road, or sometimes it's paved right on top of the culvert.
Oh, is it
So it
okay?
just lifts and goes up and down in the winter,
Yeah,
so patch over top of the winter.
breaks it up.
Yeah, yeah, they're just tiny pieces over top,
So how deep would that under the road be?
We're showing it 3 feet deep, so, you know, an 18-inch culvert under the road, we have 1.5 feet of dirt over top of it. Well, on pavement, so maybe more like a foot, so still not a lot, but at least,
It's better than what's.
yeah, better than what's there.
Finally a chance to get some depth
And when you put it in, you could probably put some materials in there that would help it from, like if you put gravel in there instead of just have dirt at the bottom of it, does that help, or
Maybe,
maybe?
I think what I, you know, learned from Mark when he was here is that some have been buried in rock and not been great, and some have been buried in slop and turned out great, and a little bit of randomness to it, but I think overall, if you use more of an aggregate type of backfill, you'd have better.
Seems like it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it would be.
Like in a filtered aggregate that can let it flow, or?
No, I would think more like we do something like P-rock or, you know, maybe
That would let it flow
3/8
with
or
the
whatever, yeah,
tile,
and eventually fill in with silt and stuff, but the main thing is just that it doesn't settle. It can easily be packed without
Yeah.
special equipment.
So is there any cons for taking out, removing 2 culverts and only going to 1? As long as it's a big enough culvert? I mean, so I'm just saying, you know, do Jeff and Ann and Steve and Bonnie now take all the water?
Yeah, I think that's one of the cases the dentist had made, is that now you're taking 2 culverts and putting them into one, and now instead of going 2 locations, now it's going in 1 location. So that's certainly the case. I think it ultimately ends up in the same little, low swale in the backyards of these properties.
Yeah, there's kind of a holding.
And we're taking it to a spot that is pretty low and has gotten sloppy at times, and it doesn't appear that anybody's interested in doing anything with it down there because it's too wet. There's some, you know, trees that don't look like they were planted, they look like they're wild down there. And, you know, these Homan shells, I can't speak for them, but they do have quite a big lot there, and with quite a bit of land higher than that.
What would the end of it look like?
The end of it would look similar to it does now. We just put a flared end section on it, hopefully.
This is
Take a look
the
here.
outlet here, is that it?
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah. I mean, currently, the outlet of the south culvert is on the Owen Shell's property. And
Anyway.
they've tried to tidy it up with some landscaping,
Mhm.
but it's just pretty wet down there, and I know we've,
So actually, it would kind of remove that water farther away from their residence a
yeah.
bit,
Yeah, I think it would be neater for them, but.
neater.
It looks like it should be.
It's a
Where
little
the
closer
proposed outlet is, the water in the old culvert drains over to that spot already.
Mhm.
Yeah, just,
It just
So
has
it
to run
bottles
across
out.
there.
Yeah.
It runs across
Yeah.
the ground over to that spot,
So
so.
it's you putting the water in the same place, you're just not getting, just doesn't get to travel quite as far.
yeah.
Well,
So, because this was, originally this kind of, we thought this would be a good idea, and Ethan had talked to Dennis about the tree, thinking, well, we just as well tell him we're taking the tree, because we thought most likely we would go forward with this. That's when we found out that he was very close to this, and so, at this point, it became a political issue whether we move forward. So at this point, we're looking for the board to tell us whether they'd like us to kind of intervene into Paul's house development project and work with him on, building this sewer in the public right of way. And if you do approve it, you know, I don't think it'll be the last we talk about it, specifically Dennis. So I wanna be a fair warning here, this is our best idea, and it's not gonna be popular with everybody.
Mhm.
Well, it seems like for the whole area, it's the most practical solution from what I can see. I mean, it's, yeah, do you like cutting trees down? I guess not. But if it's in the right of way, it's in the right of way. There's, I guess to me, I would probably go with this plan. I mean, it seems to be the most, equitable solution for the area as far as.
I would concur with that too.
As would I.
Okay, probably just have it put for approval on the agenda next week, and then we can plan to do it in the spring, and then we can get a plan with Paul and his construction and time all that together, so that they can put in footings and.
Which property is yours here? No, there, I didn't see his name on there.
There.
Okay, oh, it is,
Off-
okay,
off
this
the
is.
page there, yeah.
All right, all right.
And that's where your addition was gonna go.
Yeah.
Right where that culvert comes across that dotted line,
Yeah,
that would be under his driveway. New
Yeah.
proposed driveway.
All right. Well, we've got a 9:45, we have to start. So, appreciate the information,
Thank you.
thanks all.
Thank you very much.
It's really nice when we have maps like that, and it makes it so everybody
Oh, I
can
didn't,
see and,
even the last one, I didn't realize I didn't look through my mail good enough, I didn't realize I had a map of it there, then you get to look at it a little better.
yeah, it's just, I'm still kind of a paper girl, I really like to see things in front of me.
Did you bring a paper for Patty?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. I did not forget that.
Good.
The reason this is
Probably
so
the
best is that we need to give this to Chelsea
I'll talk about COVID
today.
Yeah,
You knew that?
yeah, she told me.
I didn't do it either.
Yeah,
Did you get my text about that?
well, we got until
We have,
the 9th or whatever.
so that's
Yeah,
2 days.
yeah. Probably just be easier to just not get over.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
right, if this is gonna be a closed session, we'll make our announcement, then cut that.
Yep, can we go back to the COVID stuff real quick?
Sure.
I totally misspoke this morning, I'm sorry about that. Where's that policy at? So, in our paid sick leave portion of the policy, we don't have anything about if you're exposed, stay home and you get paid for it or anything like that. But in that COVID policy, if you still have those paper copies, it's the second to last page, subsection D on there. We do have a section about if you've been exposed for 15 continuous minutes or more within 6 feet, then you're not to come in to work. And so earlier I had said that wasn't in there because I was thinking just the paid sick leave part of it. I don't know if that's something you guys want to mess with today. I wanted to bring it up though because
Page
it's,
is done, you said?
well, second to last page, I should number these, that
Or
would
the
be,
third
it's
page.
D, subsection D is the, if you've been within 6 feet for 15 continuous minutes or more. I don't even know, is that still the standard?
I don't know. Well, what Allison said is if you're, like, if you're not showing symptoms, like, you should come in unless you're showing symptoms.
Right. That's my personal feeling as well, and I think that's kind of how we've been operating at least in
Yes.
some of the offices.
My wife tested positive and I rode in a car with her all the way from Mason.
Right, and I think that's
And-
been happening. I mean, because otherwise we're requiring them to stay home for, well, 10 days since your COVID positive contact, if you've had no symptoms during that entire 10-day period, and they're required to use sick leave, vacation, whatever for that. Obviously that's up to you, but we could take that entire section out if we wanted to. Obviously, once somebody has any symptom whatsoever, if they know they've had contacts, then at that point, they fall under that paid sick leave portion anyway, where you need to stay home. But, I mean, I think if you start talking to everybody who's been exposed, we're gonna lose a lot of
Yeah, no,
employees.
that's-
I
We're gonna
mean,
look like New York
And
City.
That-
because you're exposed, I mean,
What we need to do is,
I
what the
didn't get it.
universities
Yeah.
do is they
You know.
just have rapid tests available. You know, they just have rapid
And
tests
it's-
available for everybody.
sure,
and from what I understand, you aren't overly infectious unless your body's been overwhelmed with it.
Well, literally, we had one person that was exposed and was here for a whole week and then came down with it. So,
and as far as we know, didn't expose anybody else.
and nobody else
here.
got sick.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, obviously, take your
You're not really
precautions,
infectious
but-
until the sicker you are, the more infectious you are because your body's been overwhelmed with it.
yeah. I just feel like we could take that paragraph out and be just fine.
Yeah, I think
So what would we
And if we don't
remove?
take it out, then I think we do need to address the vaccinated versus unvaccinated, because the recommendation is if you're vaccinated and no symptoms and you have contact, you can come to work, that's fine. The CDC guidelines on the unvaccinated exposure say you should stay home. We don't have to follow that. You can if you want to, but if we're going to leave this in, I think then we do need to address the vaccinated versus unvaccinated, like we talked about
So
earlier
which,
this morning.
what would you take off?
I would take out all of subsection D if you don't want to require anybody to stay home just based on on an exposure. Like I said, once they have a symptom or something, then you're gonna fall into the other categories anyway, and you would stay home, of course. Now, I would hope everybody, I think the employee Carla referenced tried to kind of isolate within the building and things like that, take some measures
Mhm.
when they knew that they'd been exposed, but they didn't have any
So I'm in
symptoms at that
favor of
point.
taking it out.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I'll make a motion to take out section D in the COVID policies under section 3.
Yep.
Subsection D.
I'll second.
Okay.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to take out section 3, subsection D, on the COVID policies. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
So ignore the version I sent you and Chelsea earlier, that's when I caught it, when I was going back looking through that, so I'll resend it, I think I'll resend it.
All right.
And this is for the closed section. Yeah, yeah, we'll send it. We took out earlier they took out that line that Dresser had.
Our next item is possible closed session to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, and discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual requests a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.51I. It is my understanding that the employee requests that this matter proceed in closed session. Is that correct, Kelsey? Is that right, Kelsey?
That's correct.
All right. All right, there will be discussion of professional competency of an employee, and the employee requests a closed session for this discussion. I move that the discussion regarding the professional competency of an employee be made in closed session. I'll need a second to that.
I'll second that.
All right, I've got a motion from Derby and a second from Smith. We'll take a, doesn't have to be roll call.
It does.
Oh, it does?
Derby,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Jensvold.
All right.
Does not say that. All right, so it has been moved to hold a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.51I, and the members of the board have voted unanimously to hold the closed session. I ask that all persons other than the supervisors, county attorney, and county auditor leave the room until we come into open session again.
Okay, I'm starting a new recording. And I'm pausing
That's all I know.
No, it's flashing.
Oh, now it's flashing.
Now it's flashing.
Is it-
Let me just text Brody, just to make sure.
Have him make sure it's off.
Yeah,
It's funny that it went off there briefly and then it came back on.
Okay.
so it flashes when it's rolling, basically, that's what
Usually,
we're-
yeah.
I'll do Chris Colby, because usually she watches. Does the meeting recording, anyway.
You want me to just run down and ask her?
Yeah, okay.
You are the first
watching.
participant in the conference.
I would guess we're on.
Okay, stop.
And if we're not, it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm starting a new recording again.
Okay, so I'm ready to read. Let the minutes reflect that we are now back in open session. The closed session has been concluded by agreement of the parties. No matters were discussed other than the issue for which the closed session was taken. No votes were taken or any other action. There being no further discussion, is there a motion to end the closed session?
I'll make a motion to end the closed session.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to end the closed session. All those in favor say aye.
Does that have your roll call?
Nope.
Nope, okay, aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. So now, I'll make a motion to allow the county attorney to proceed with the investigation of the matter.
I'll second it.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to let the county attorney proceed with the investigation of the matter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Carrie, do you think we're going to be a lot longer? Or,
What do we
Yeah,
have
quite a
left? We've got Julie about personnel, she wants to add one.
an employee?
Yeah, and Scott yet, and we've got utility permits, not much. Yeah, it's gonna be probably
a while.
closer to a half hour probably.
Okay, I'll let them know that,
Yeah.
but do you mind if we get started and then
Yeah, I'll
it
come over.
obviously will go through and things, so thank
Yeah.
you.
Come on in, Scott.
Good timing?
Yeah. We're supposed to have a 10 o'clock with Julie, but if you can,
Yeah, quick.
She's not
Do
out
your
there
thing
anymore.
and
She
I'll
was
follow.
out there.
she was?
She
Yeah.
was, but she comes and goes.
Yeah. So go ahead.
You wanna do my generic
Yeah.
update first? Got snowplow equipment on and we're ready to fight some snow if need be.
Is the new truck ready or
No,
close?
I imagine it will be yet a little while.
Okay.
They had both the seats out and everything last time I saw it. It was just day before yesterday, Friday, whatever day it was. Both seats out, started to do some wiring and work in the cab and stuff. And that takes actually quite a bit of time. And once it's all wired up and plumbed, then they gotta do calibration and all that stuff. Put radios in it, beacon lights. They got a little ways to go yet.
What else do you have?
That's, I don't have any notes for today.
Okay. They're still doing ditches or freezing out?
They were last week for sure.
When you clean a ditch and you dig a whole bunch of rocks up out of the ditch and put them in the field, it picks up the rocks.
That's a good reason why our former superintendent didn't like to do that.
Clean ditches?
No, put it in the field.
Oh. Yeah.
Because it's kind of, you never know what's in there, rocks and a lot
Well,
of times trash.
Guys shouldn't be dumping their rocks
Yeah, it shouldn't be in
in
there.
their ditches because it stops the possible flow through the ditch, but,
Yeah, so who should pick them up? I think, I'm open to working with somebody on that, I guess.
Yeah, there's hopefully I don't end up in, I don't know.
Sometimes they'll show up after they till it too, probably, or after it rains.
It was obvious before they even.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if we're doing that and it's obvious when we leave, we probably should do a better job picking up the rocks.
Anything else then? You guys have any questions?
No questions?
All right. You wanna do your utility permit then, number
Yeah.
9? Consider for approval utility permit for Heartland Power Co-op to install overhead electric on 500th Street.
Yeah, both these permits are actually the same location, serving the same hog building.
Okay.
I'll give you both of them. Yeah, one's for overhead power, one's for buried fiber optic. Like one of the more recent, the master matrix that you've approved, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Susan gets all those.
Lucky me. So I make a motion to approve the utility permit for Heartland Power Co-op.
I'll second it.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the Heartland Power utility permit to install overhead electric on 500th Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Oh,
those
we need to
opposed?
stamp that? Or is there signature?
Just signature, I
His
think.
signature's fine,
Is that good enough?
from Terry and Carlos.
Consider for approval utility permit for Winnebago Co-op Telephone Association to install fiber optic cable on 500.
I'll make the motion to approve the utility permit for Winnebago County Telephone WCTA.
I'll second it.
I got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the utility permit for WCTA to install fiber optic cable on 500th Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, we should do what we call.
Sure.
Want Herbie Hancock?
Mm-hmm.
Hi Julie, this is Terry. Sorry we were so far behind today. Do you have time to come down and see us now? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.
Just some presents.
Sure.
And I'm a little ahead of myself, good.
Anything else for open forum? Anyone?
Bill's got a stack over there. Open for him.
How about the semi-monthly county claims? Did everybody have a chance to look at those?
You did?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the semi-monthly county claims.
I'll second that.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the semi-monthly county claims. All those in favor say aye.
Nice.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Morning, Julie.
Good morning. Guys are having a busy morning, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't know if I needed to be on the agenda or not, but I am looking at hiring another person in the treasurer's office. I talked with Kelsey, and she thought it'd be a good idea to put it on the agenda to see if you guys would approve of that and accept my idea of hiring another person. The workload down there has increased tremendously. Come January, the new law will change where, anybody that touches the four corners of the county can now come in and do their title transfers. So we've got a lot more coming in for titling. And that is all due to the fact that when the state agreed to do electronic titling with the Dealers Association, that they also wanted it to be across the whole state, so we could do anybody's title. Well, the electronic titling passed, and we're doing that now, but they couldn't get in place everything that needed to be there for us to do anybody's title through the whole state, statewide. But because they failed to get that in place by 2019, when the ERT went into effect, now they're obligated to give the dealers and the people the right to come in to your adjoining counties. So like Worth County, Hancock County, Cassuth, any of those people can now come in here and do their titling, and we have to accept it. But in the long run, our revenue will increase, and they're working on trying to increase the fees for titling. So like right now, we only get $2.50 per title. It will increase to $7.50.
That's been passed, or
Pardon?
they're trying to pass that, or?
No, that will happen now they said the 1st of January.
Oh, okay.
And then July 1st, they're hoping to have in place where you can go anywhere.
So does the county keep all of that, or a portion of it?
The $7.50 is what the county would keep.
Okay.
Right now, we only get $2.50. So, they're working on, the counties that are gonna get bombarded should be, compensated for the fees that or compensated for the money that what they're doing. So the counties that probably will be not receiving as much revenue, they have to try to decide on how to staff their employees. But I just feel that we're gonna be really busy, because we get a lot of people from Winnebago that come up here, and now that we've opened driver's license, we get a lot of other counties coming here. So I feel we're gonna get that with the titling. And then in July, it's just gonna go from just regular titles to everything we do.
Wow. So are you thinking of a part-time position or a full-time position?
I'm going full-time.
Full-time.
Yeah. Because, if I have one out and we've got drives scheduled all day, it puts us short at the counter. This new version 10 has played a big part in it as well. Our financial side, you could just have one person working in the financial side to keep that balanced every day.
How many, per year, what do you think you do for titles before all this?
Oh gosh, I couldn't even tell you. I could run a report and give that to you. I know we're busy.
Yes.
We have, our lines are back, and we're constantly doing titles, and
What's your thoughts?
Well, if there's going to be more work, you need more people to handle it.
because I can't expect the girls to be working past 4:30 either to try to keep up on everything, and we don't want a backlog, we try to stay current with our stuff. And, you know, if you try to get part-time, I know some of the offices have tried to do part-time, and we just don't have any luck finding any part-time.
Send that back to her, Steve.
So what are the requirements for someone in your office? I mean, what would their resume look like?
Well,
I mean,
they would have to know financial,
yeah,
you know, accounting,
accounting.
and, computer
Mhm.
work, and customer service is the number one.
Mhm.
Be able to multitask is number two, because you have to. I mean, if we're not at the counter, we're answering the phone just does not stop ringing. And a lot of it is training with the systems that we have. They have DOT training, they have driver's license training, and the training on the financial system.
I guess the main part of the decision is the taxpayers, and if they're gonna wait in line, and then you guys are gonna close, and they're gonna have to go leave and come back, or whatever, we don't want that either. It's, you gotta maintain the level of service to the
We try.
taxpayers.
Yeah. And the only time we were, you know, basically closed was during COVID.
Yeah.
And then appointments only is still by the state for driver's license and all that. But we get a lot of walk-ins, and we take them as long as we don't have somebody
Someone's appointment
already
right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they have to wait until the appointments are filled, and.
What is this one?
I didn't mean to give that to
I
you.
was gonna say, that looked a little confusing. Looked abnormal.
That is just what I'm proposing, is to have your blessing on me finding somebody good, as good as the staff I have down there now.
So it would require a budget amendment if you're gonna start it at, what, after the first of the year?
Yeah, if I would like to get advertising as soon as possible.
What kind of wage would you be at then?
Yeah, but did you take that, did you used to have a position in your budget that you
I
hadn't
did.
filled yet? Is it still there?
No, you guys took it
I was
away.
gonna say, it
Mhm.
seemed like you took it out.
Yep.
What kind of a wage are you looking at?
I guess I hadn't really put that down on pencil yet. Probably similar to what I started anesthesia out at. It is a stressful place to work, and people know that, but yet they still, I think when you talk to the staff down there, they enjoy the work once they understand it all, and, you know, you're talking.
Once you have the new system up and going.
Yeah, well, that's still in work and play there every day. We're learning. It's gonna take a while with that new system.
Well, I think you know your department better than anyone else, so I would think that it would make sense if you feel like to give our the customers and constituents of Winnebago County the proper service. It's needed.
Yeah, and we try, you know, and the things that we can really see is like if someone's out sick or somebody's not able to come in and we're running down to 3 people, we've done it with 2 people. It's really hard when you're running 3 departments.
And you have enough desks to do that,
Oh,
no
yeah.
space.
I can give up one of mine. Yeah, no, all of that is there, it's just to make the decision when to do the hire. And I just think with this extra load coming in, we just need to be ready, because it takes a while to train somebody as well.
True.
I guess I wouldn't be the one that wants to micromanage a department head.
Really?
Well, there are times.
I really don't wanna micromanage a department head, so
Yeah.
I would say that you know what's best for your office.
Or the taxpayer, as far as the services required, if the investment in another position is gonna pay out for the services to the people, so.
Well, and keep the good workers that are there
Healthy.
and, doing their job.
Yes, I know it's become very stressful with a lot of that.
Alright, well, it's not an actionable item, but I guess you've got our feelings on it anyway.
Okay, you don't have to approve it, or,
It's not on the agenda that way,
No, it's just discussion,
just discussion.
okay,
so
all right,
you know where we stand anyway.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Yep, have a good day.
You too.
Alright, so only thing left is the,
Payroll claims?
payroll claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll claims.
Did you even get the payroll?
I was just gonna say, are they
They're
there?
here. We signed them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
Once
there's
you
just
get,
one
before
signature on
you
this payroll.
say aye.
what's that?
There's only one signature on the payroll claims, right?
Right.
Well, now there,
See, do we all have?
but I didn't see the semi-monthly
Well,
maybe.
that's what you were asking.
Yeah, we,
Where's the semi-monthly?
we all have to sign that, and I don't remember signing it, so. I stamped it, I believe, but I didn't sign it.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, you guys didn't sign.
So who made the motion?
On this one,
It was me.
Okay.
and I don't know,
I'll sign it.
and I've got a second, okay. Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jenslow to approve the payroll claims. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. And we already made the motion on the
Getting
others.
closer to this one again. Keeps getting moved
Farther and
further
farther
away.
away.
My shoulder joint still aren't letting range of motion go too
Well,
much.
I guess at this point, we'll stand adjourned. I need to run across the street for that meeting.